What's going on, everybody? Kenny here, also known as Silent 85. Welcome to another vlog. I'm going to forewarn you. I'm probably going to ramble a bit this whole time. But I wanted to acknowledge something that we all go through as humans, and that's being overwhelmed. And I'm talking in a general sense here. When you look at it as you're growing up, and if you're sensitive enough to it as well, it's even worse. But there is a lot of suffering in this reality. There's a lot of suffering that you'll see all around you. There's a lot of suffering that you'll feel within you, depending on what happens in your life. And it's really hard to know how to handle that. How do you gauge it? What's to expect in the future? Will there be more? Will I have to endure more? Will the people around me have to endure more? What about the ones I love, the ones I care about, the ones I love and care about in the future? How do you make it through a reality that can be so brutal and so unforgiving, especially in a society with a species on this planet that cannot care? They just look out for their own. There's a lot of personal advancement, selfishness, and not a whole lot of sense of community in some regards. So how do you work out the equation? How do you ratio love to hate? How do you ratio survival to thriving? And that's the complication. I think for every one of us, it's essentially is different. For me, speaking of personal experience, it's mostly just doing everything I can to make myself better and stronger in order to be able to handle that reality. And in a lot of ways, that's the truth of everybody else. We do what we can. We use what crutches we have to when we have to. And a lot of people have to use crutches their whole life because it's hard to handle reality. It's hard to understand it a lot of the times. And a lot of times we'll turn to religion. A lot of times we'll escape reality. A lot of times people turn to drinking, drugs, sex, escape, whatever it may be. It happens a lot. And unfortunately, when you escape too much, um, you evict yourself from reality. You can't face what's actually going on around you, and you become weaker for it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not calling people that escape or have escaped and refuse to come back to reality weak, because it still takes strength to walk in this world and to even try to operate, to even try to function, and they do what they can to. But I think the weakness is coming in within somebody that isn't able to recognize what's happening. Um, and I'm not saying the weakness is a bad thing. I'm just saying the weakness is there. And it's up to family and loved ones to help them recognize what's happening. And I would even argue that if you have people that are just cheering you on to stay where you're at and not, acknowledge the reality you're in, and um, there's enabling you to keep doing that, it's very hard to do, but that's people you need to cut out of your life. You shouldn't be around them. There's a lot of people that just want to come at you and get what you have because it's all about survival. It's some people that's all they've known, and some people that's what they thrive on. They probably have a really good life, but they like to see others suffer. They like to take what others have just because they believe it belongs to them, or because of no reason at all. And that's another thing about this reality. There's a lot of things that there's no reason for it. You know. So again, people do what they can to try to explain it or try to escape it or both. Um, and I think what inevitably happens is that, and one key thing is to concentrate on your reality. Don't try to carry too much that you can't handle. And this is something you'll learn with time, with age. What you can and can't handle. And it takes work, it takes progress, it takes training yourself to be able to do that because we're all different. We can all handle small things or really big things. Giggity. But it's all up to you. And it's all up to us as a society, as a humanity, to realize that our species suffers because of us. Because there's a portion of us that don't care. There's no light. They're just agonizing and darkness that keeps sucking other people in, and it thrives and it grows. You know. But at the same time, there's good too. I mean, a lot of people pay it forward, and put some good out into the world. But I think one of the worst things about the human condition is that a good chunk of the population, a good chunk of human beings thrive, or don't thrive, but it's hard to remember the good things in our lives, especially depending on your upcoming, everything you've been through in your life. You probably have a bad tendency of focusing on the negative, focusing on the bad, while not accounting for the good, because there is good and bad. And a lot of times in life, it's not that black and white. I mean, there's an in between. There's always gray areas, but there is suffering. There is trying to survive, and but at the same time, there's ideas and practices and lessons and people that thrive. And we're all at one point or another in our lives thriving or just surviving, or we're probably just wanting to not deal with it anymore, not necessarily do something really dark and self-destructive, but you're just done. You either quit a job, you walk out of a relationship, you cut off a family member, you grow distant, to certain positions or situations. You'll cut yourself off. You don't care about yourself anymore. So you concentrate on something else or redirect your energy. It gets really tough, man. And I think overall, what I'm just trying to say here is what I was saying at the beginning is do what you can to make sure that you're able to thrive before you give everything to everybody else. And this is especially true for folks like me that have a very big heart, that can be very caring to a very taxing fault. I'm 38 years old, and it's taken me a long time and a lot of struggles, a lot of darkness, and I'm still trying to keep up that threshold of keeping for myself, but also wanting to give back. Again, it's not an easy road to walk, and the ratio for caring and a little bit of selfishness can vary person to person. A lot of people are very, very selfish, and very few caring, very few, charity. But a lot of people are very charitable, very caring, and they don't really keep anything for themselves. And there's people that are in the middle. That's, I guess, for lack of a better word, balanced in that regard. But it's just important to remember you're important as well. And despite whatever suffering you may see, despite whatever hardships or darkness you may glean in your own life or in other people's, do what you can and help them. But be sure to also help yourself. It's important. So, again, reality can be taxing and tiring in a lot of ways. But you're awesome. Never let the world say otherwise. Stay safe, stay sane, and thanks for watching. See ya.